Hello everyone, this is Talal Hussain, and in this video we are going to talk about how we can absolutely pawn the words in context questions. Now these words in context questions are the single most largely occurring questions on the reading and writing part of the SAT. We have around 15% of the entire reading and writing section from the words in context. So you can expect around 3 to 4 questions in both the modules of words in context. So if you know how to go around these questions, if you know how to solve these questions, yes, knowing the vocabulary is very important, but it's not enough. Guys, I'm telling you, it's 20% or maybe 25% of the game. You have to understand how to actually solve these questions. Once you understand that approach, then you can go on with it. Then, knowing that vocabulary would help you. I have seen students with very good vocabulary base, with very, good words, understanding of the words, but, they lacked the understanding of the passage. They lacked how to actually get these questions, and that is why they failed to solve these questions. Now I will be discussing one question today just to tell you guys how to actually go around these questions, so that you can apply this approach on all the questions that you will be doing, right? So let's try to move on and go on with this question. So it says, researchers have struggled to pinpoint specific causes for hiccups which happen when a person's diaphragm contracts. We don't know why, what's going to be the answer. However, now guys, you can lean on these, right? So lean on the conjunctions. Now these conjunctions are very important because they'll give you an idea of where this sentence is going. So if this is, however, we know that the second sentence has to be the opposite, and it will give us some idea of what's going on. So how the diaphragm contracts, we don't know that right now, but the next sentence says, neuroscientist Kimberly Whitehead has found that these uncontrollable contractions. So what are we saying? We are talking about some uncontrollable contractions. So something that we can control is voluntary, and something that we cannot control is involuntary. Now how can we be so sure that this is about the blank that we just mentioned, right? It is because of these. Now this, that, these, and those. These are 4 pointers that normally deal, or they normally talk about what is written before them, right? So if you find any one of these 4 written in your passage, chances are that it is referring to something that is written before it. So yes, it is referring to the blank. So we have to find a word. So before going to the options, you have to work out what type of word you need in the blank. Now the single most common error or single most common mistake that the students normally make is that they just read the passage, get an idea of what is there in the passage, and without getting an idea of what type of word should come in the blank, they move on to the options. Now what is the problem with that? The problem with that is that when they move on to the options, they get confused, right? They do not understand what should be the answer because they don't know, they don't have an idea of what should come in the blank at first, right? So obviously you cannot come up with the exact word that should come in the answer or that should come in the blank, but you should at least know what should be there in the blank. You should at least have an idea of the connotation of that word, whether it would be positive, whether it would be negative, so you have to understand how it goes about. So over here we are talking about something that is uncontrollable, right? So we have to look for that word in the options. So the first word that you see, it is involuntary, and it can be the answer. And if you look at the other word, the second one is beneficially, completely irrelevant. Obviously it will be eliminated. Strenuously, strenuous is something, when you exert some, exert, you are determined or something like that. So when you work with, work hard or something like that, so obviously that cannot be the answer over here as well. And smoothly cannot be the answer over here as well. So you are left with only one option, and that one option is involuntary. This can only be the answer over here. So guys, I'll repeat. First you have to read the passage, then you have to see or look for the information. That is, there will always be some information that will give you an idea of what should come in the blank. You have to look for that information. With the help of that information, you have to come up with a word that can be a possible answer for the blank, and then you have to put that into it. You have to find the best option that is in line with it. So you have to make a comparison. You have to have a word in your mind that you know should come in the blank, and then you should go to the options, and in the options you have to find that word that is closest to the word that you thought, right? Without thinking or without processing what should come in the blank, if you go to the option, chances are you'll falter on it, right? So the best way to go about the words in context question is to first figure out what should come in the blank, then go on to the options and compare it. I'm repeating it, but this is very important, and this is something that you can apply on all the questions. And once you've done this enough times, once you have practiced it enough times, you will be an expert. You'd know how to go about it. You'd know what are the key areas that you have to read to come up with this question. And this is one of the questions that in my previous videos I've also mentioned that you can solve under 30 seconds. So yes, you can do that, but understanding the approach is very important. So this was about the words in context questions. We'll be coming up with more videos very soon. Thank you so much.